Shalom. Let me get myself set up real quick. This is going to be a quick video before I go back to work. Hope everyone is staying warm and safe. I was driving back and forth in my travels, back and forth to work and home. And, what came to mind is the power of the Most High, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, when I saw just how devastating this storm was, but at the same time, it wasn't as big as they said it was going to be. But nonetheless, people died. You got actual people who died based on the Most High's power to control the weather. Showing you that, you can't stop the Most High. You cannot stop the Most High. You got to respect the Most High. And the problem is a lot of people don't respect the Most High. I respect the Most High. I love the Most High. And I'm sure a lot of you acknowledge that if it wasn't for this truth, you wouldn't be alive today, or you would be in a worse situation or lifestyle that you're in today. Some of you would be drug dealers. Some of you women would be selling your bodies or whoring yourselves out. Certain men would be gay or have AIDS or HIV. You got, you got a lot of traps and pitfalls to fall into in this life. In this life, you have a lot of traps and pitfalls to fall into in this life. And let me make sure I'm up before I was make. That's beautiful. You understand what I'm saying? Do you understand what I'm saying? That life today in 2026 and for the last 5 years, in my opinion, is pretty treacherous right now. And you have to have some form of spirituality, some recognition of a God to survive today. That's what I see. And if you choose to go and live without spirituality and without God, you're nothing more than an animal that pumps and dumps, meaning jumps on some woman like a pit bull, eats, sleep, defecates, and just lives. Now, of course, there's only one God. I said you got to have some form of a God. There's only one God, and that's the God of the Bible. And I don't care what anybody says. There's only one God. And what I find is that most people who choose to live a lifestyle outside of the Most High, they look terrible physically and spiritually. And what comes out of their mouths usually is a form of the devil or just plain stupidity. So it's in your best interest to open the Bible and read the word of the Most High, Old and New Testament, mainly New Testament, mainly gospel, mainly the word of Yahushua, who they call Christ. It's in your best interest to pick up a Bible and start reading and changing your lives. Again, there's only one God. One God. And the true living God is the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the God that's in the Holy Bible. Don't matter how you feel or what you think. The Bible is the only book that reveals where we are today. It's a bestseller. So, just keep that in mind. Just some words of wisdom. But nonetheless, we see that this country, in my opinion, or my understanding, according to the Most High, is being judged by him. Now, earlier I said there's one God. There's only one true and living God. And those who choose to rebel and run from the true and living God, they become like the walking dead. They're the walking dead. You understand? So buckle up your seatbelts because this is going to be a hell of a year. And it's long overdue. I'm glad. You know what? I'm glad. I'm so glad that the Most High is doing what he's doing. I'm so glad. Because all throughout the years, they talked about our sky daddy. They called him the sky daddy. They said the Bible is plagiarized. They said that we're liars and we're lunatics for following and believing in the Most High. But what do you have to stand on in these last days? What do you have to swap out to prove that God doesn't exist? To prove that your God is the true and living God and that the God of the Bible is false. Check this out real quick. I want to show you something because this had me thinking in regards of the power of God when you examine the snow, the power of God in regards of how many people died in the storm, the snowstorm that is. God, he kills, man. The God, he kills and he brings life. Let's look that up. People killed in winter storm. Now, some of you think that's horrible. Even the dude that died, this guy that died, you know, the other day he was shot. Even that guy, the Most High, he did that. And a lot of you are not going to accept that because a lot of you don't believe in the Most High. A lot of you don't believe in the Most High. And that's all good. At some point, the Lord said in our book that in their afflictions, they will seek him early. So it's all good. Look, here in Los Angeles is at least 29. It says at least 29 dead across U.S. following winter storm. 29 people just gone. The Most High. 29 people. So I respect the Most High. A lot of you don't respect the Most High. I respect the Most High because I know he's real. I know he's real, and he's the only true and living God. Most High tells you in Psalms 96. Let's look at the second verse. It says, "Sing unto the Most High God, bless his name, show forth his salvation from day to day." Show forth his help, in other words, from day to day. That's how we get down in the Most High. Declare his glory among the heathen. This is talking to us to declare the Most High's glory even to the white man, to the Chinese man who follows his religions, his Hindu or whatever he chooses to follow, the white man who follows the no God or he's an atheist, the Arab man who's into Islam, the Africans who are into many different pagan rituals and things that are contrary to the spirit of the Most High. Then here in America, let's use America as a model. Even here in America, you got the black man who thinks he's an African, who's following Kemet beliefs, who's following African beliefs, who is following Christianity. Even to them, we are to declare the glory of the true and living God. The true and living God to all people, including our people who are defiant and have picked up traits and characteristics of the heathen. That includes abortion and murder. That includes pagan holidays, if they into that. You understand? And that includes drugs, if they into getting high and using drugs to escape reality, because that's what you're doing. And mostly, those who believe in the white man who the Most High gave power to in these last days. We discussed this yesterday, that the Most High, he gives power to who he chooses to give power to. And it's up to us to decipher through scripture the do's and the don'ts. You understand? The negative and the positive, the wicked and the righteous. That's what it comes down to. So you have an ex-servant, I'm going to call her a servant of Donald Trump, who left his party to sort after a career for herself. You understand? And her name is Marjorie Taylor Greene. I don't know if a lot of you remember her, but she jumped off the bandwagon to do her own thing, and I don't think she's been successful since leaving Donald Trump. But check out what she's saying, because she's saying civil war is on the doors of America. I kind of believe her and roll with that. I think civil war is coming. Not only is civil war coming, but world wars are looming and glooming and showing their faces too. If you think about it, people are tired. I know a lot of you are tired. You're tired of working. You're tired of being sad. You're tired of being tired. You're tired of fear and worry. And a lot of that is because, certain people are not focused. I'm not saying in faithful there's no fear. There's fear that pops up in my mind every once in a while, and a lot of people's minds. Where is this going? We know where it's going as believers and, followers and sheep of the Most High and the Son. We know where it's going. It's going to hell. It's going to hell. Notice the title is War Dogs Eat the Weak. War Dogs Eat the Weak. And we see that you have a lot of weak brothers out there, a lot of weak sisters out in the world today. I read an article that claims that the elite, the super elite, even though they indulge too, even though they participate too, but the super elite, they prefer black men in this capacity that you see on the screen. They prefer black men in the capacity and the strength and the fortitude and in the spirit of a sweetie boy. Because if you have black men in the spirit of a sweetie boy, it's easier to dominate, manipulate, and corrupt the whole nation, Most High's will. If you have the black woman in the spirit of a Jezebel whore freakazoid, excuse my language, you have the power not only to destroy the nation, but you go basically to the root of destroying the children. Of destroying the children. Now, here's a question. Here's the million-shekel question. Are black women good stewards of children in 2026? Are black men good fathers and defenders of the family in 2026 for the most part? I'm not saying you don't have good mothers out there of the black community or even the Hispanic community. I'm not saying you don't have strong, upright, strong fathers of the black community. I'm saying for the most part, the family structure hasn't been destroyed. And are they, the weak, ready to be devoured and eaten by the war dogs of America or of this world? See, the Bible is tomorrow's news. It's written today, but it's tomorrow's news, and it prepares Black people and Hispanic people who are God's true chosen people. It prepares them to a war, to great evil that's going to be at everybody's doorsteps in the near future. The same way Moses commanded the children of Israel to paint their doorposts with the blood of lambs so the death angel could pass over the homes of the families that believed in Yahweh, Yahweh being the Most High, the Creator, that prepared them and instructed them to follow this procedure so the death angel would not kill their firstborn. The Bible today prepares you to brace yourselves with understanding, to accept what's coming with understanding, to acknowledge that not only are your enemies are going to perish, but people that you love, that love you, that's close to you, the same people that stuck by you side by side until you came into the faith. They got high with you until you came into faith. They robbed and stole with you until you came into faith. They fornicated with you until you came into faith. These same brothers and sisters who I know you still love, you've now come to the reality that they are going to die. And before they die, the Most High is going to make them suffer. Yeah, I know that's hard to swallow or accept. And even in 2026, you have very foolish, dumb brothers today who don't believe that God is real and that America is going to be judged. But here's a question. Here's the million-shekel question, number 2. What are you standing on? Those of you who don't believe in God or Christ, what are you standing on? What do you believe? What should make us jump ship and follow you or do what you're doing? That would be a very, very foolish person. Because even the wicked of the children of Edom, meaning so-called European, so-called French, so-called Germans, so-called white Americans, they see that civil war is coming. They see it. Marjorie Taylor Greene, you all are being excited to war, and I agree with that. Through the media, social media, we're continuing where we left off yesterday, basically, it seems like. But through social media, videos, left propaganda, right aggression and racism, you're being energized to go to civil war. Now, us who follow the scriptures, we look at you like you're dummies. I'm talking to our brothers and sisters who are outside of the faith. We, as believers and followers, we look at you like the dummies you are. But we also know that it's prophecy. We know it's prophecy, and your minds are controlled. Your minds are controlled in the spirit of the devil. We know that. Former representatives, Marjorie Taylor Greene, she was a Republican, urged President Trump's MAGA base to take off their political blinders as she expressed skepticism about the use of force deployed during the latest shooting in Minnesota involving a federal immigration agent. In the post on social platform X, Greene touted her support for law enforcement and immigration enforcement. But she also defended the right to legally carry firearms. Is that a bad thing? Is that a bad thing? Because I think, I can't remember, I could be wrong, but I think Benjamin Franklin once said that every once in a while you need a revolution. Do you remember that? And I think it's rightly so, because every once in a while the government and the people that run the system, they need the fear of God in their chest to let them know that your homes will be burned down, your women will be ravished, your sons will be hung in order to establish justice. But we know, according to biblical prophecy, that will not happen. We know that's not going to happen. Let me see if I can find that. I found that very interesting. It is right here. It says Benjamin Franklin did not definitely say we need a revolution every 200 years, as this phrase lacks credible contemporary documentation, while often, so I guess they're saying he didn't say it. I guess they're saying he didn't say it. But it damn sure makes sense. Let's look through it real quick. Let's see what he says. Let me see. It says here, it says he did support the American Revolution, notably saying at a signing of the Declaration of Independence, we must all hang together or surely we shall all hang separately. See, the white man, he can start revolutions and go to war. You Negroes, you're not allowed to do that. Regarding rebellions, while Thomas Jefferson wrote a little, here you go. It was Thomas Jefferson, maybe. It says, while Thomas Jefferson wrote that, let me make sure it's up first. Thomas Jefferson wrote that a little rebellion now and then is a good thing. This is Thomas Jefferson. While Thomas Jefferson wrote that a little rebellion now and then is a good thing in 1777, there's no evidence that Franklin made a similar statement regarding recurring 200-year revolutions. So the white man, he's not against revolution and burning and looting and destroying. He's saying that what we are witnessing today is not a peaceful protest, and it's not a peaceful protest. No way in hell that's a peaceful protest. But the point is, this man, he says one thing and does another thing. Do you know that Nelson Mandela, he was recognized as a terrorist? Here's a man, Nelson Mandela, recognized as a terrorist. Meanwhile, his people had their land stolen, their women and children beaten and killed, their rights stripped from them. And the same white man in the 1700s who cried about taxation without representation, no rights, went to war, burned up cities, burned up real estate, burned up goods, and was glorified as a hero. Can you believe that? You can't trust the enemy. You can't trust the enemy. It says Nelson Mandela was considered a terrorist by South African apartheid regime for decades. Why wouldn't the British recognize the white American as a terrorist? Why wouldn't the white American recognize himself as a terrorist? Why would the white man burn down, kill, destroy, fight back oppression from his own people, but judge black people who fight for freedom would judge so-called Arabs, Palestinians or Iranians or Iraqis, who we know under the table are being killed and set up by the CIA, bombed by this government, because the small hats, the JE people, who are connected to the big Satan, the little Satan is connected to the big Satan, have destroyed people of color all over the planet, including the Arab world. It's beautiful and romantic when the same man who is the real terrorist call people who are oppressed and people who are suffering, people who strap bombs to themselves, people who war against the oppression that they're going through. It's a good thing when the devil is calling other people devils. It's a good thing when terrorists are calling other people terrorists. Meanwhile, the main terrorist, the main dictator on the planet has always been historically the European man. This is not hard to figure out. So if you light a fire and you blow wind on that fire, eventually that fire is going to burn everything up. If you throw logs in the fire, eventually it's going to spread. And that's what's happening in America. That's what's happening in America. But you can't follow or believe the propaganda and the lies. These liberals don't care about no Hispanics. They don't care about Haitians. They don't care about black people. They have a one focus agenda, and that's to overthrow this government and create a fruity boy, sugarfoot utopia where you could be any gender you want. You can speak and say whatever you want. You could be a flower child. You could be a freak. You can marry a cat or a dog. I'm not saying they're saying that. I'm just being funny. But don't be surprised if they push that. But here, this is interesting. It says Nelson Mandela was considered a terrorist by South African apartheid regimes for decades. And he remained on the U.S. terrorism list. See that? He remained on the U.S. terrorism list until July 2008, just 5 years before his death. Though he became president in 1994, he was only officially cleared of this label in the U.S. at the age of 89. What a goddamn shame. What a goddamn shame. He was labeled a terrorist until 2008, just 5 years before the man died. Though he became president in 1994, he was only officially cleared of this label in the U.S. at the age of 89 due to Cold War era anti-apartheid activities. Can you believe that? I can believe it. I can believe it. This is why we say don't believe everything you hear. It's in your book. Let's go to your book, the Bible. It's in your book. Proverbs 14, verse 14, it says, the backslider in heart shall be filled with his own ways, and a good man shall be satisfied from himself. The main verse I'm alluding to. The simple believeth every word. The simple believeth every word. But the prudent man, meaning the wise man, looketh well to his going. Very simple scripture, 2 verses. Very simple 2 verses, but it makes sense. Now, a simple man, a dim-witted man, he's going to believe everything that's mentioned in the media. But a prudent man, a wise man, he's going to check things out. When we had the COVID, you were told that if you wear the mask, it's going to protect you from the COVID. Was that true? I'll let you decide. When the COVID broke out, you were told to stay 6 feet apart from each other so you don't catch the COVID. Was that true? I'll let you figure that out. When the COVID was spreading, you were told if you got vaccinated, you couldn't get COVID. Was that true? Was that true? I can go on and on all day. The situation with these riots, you're being told that these are peaceful riots. Is that true? The majority of the time, when you see protesters, I use the word riots, when you see protesters on the streets, are they peaceful? Are they peaceful? Are those peaceful protesters? The summer of 2020, were those peaceful protesters? Remember the verse said, the simple believeth every word. A lot of the protesters are in the streets because they have a lying emotional battery that has been put in their backs through the media. The media has power. The media has power. Just like religion has power. TV has power. Music has power. And all the things I just named are things that are used to control your minds and spark your emotions. Spark your emotions. I won't be very long. So hype and lies and deception are the main tools the government uses to control you. I'm not saying it's entirely your fault, but at some point you gotta use your brain, man. At some point you have to use your brains. Bottom line. Because it's going to get worse. It's going to get worse. Back to Marjorie. Former U.S. Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene has warned that Americans are being excited to civil war following the death of Alex Preddy. She said that you're being excited into civil war. So could it be a hoax? Could the whole thing be a hoax? So years ago in the early 90s, we used to read books and certain articles that claim that the government wants civil war. They want civil war so they can destroy America and rebuild her back again without a constitution. Could that be right? Is a good, strong possibility that might be right. Check this out. So this is the same guy that was killed, and it seems that he's speaking for someone who's passed away. Apparently, he worked there as a nurse in the hospital, and I'm assuming this is some footage they pulled of him. I just want to check it out, though. Might be interesting. So he seems like a patriot. I think they're putting this out to make you see him from a different light. That's what I think. I could be wrong, but the overall, you got to be careful. Let's read some of the comments. It says, normally a civil war between different groups of people inside of a country, but this is the Trump regime brutalizing the rest of America. It's the people against the government, not the North against the South. And look at what these conservatives are saying, that if this guy hadn't had a weapon, there wouldn't have been any shooting. But we all have seen endless pictures of Republicans showing up at protests carrying what looks like machine guns. The truth is the guy didn't even have, look at this. The truth is the guy didn't even have a gun because they took it away from him because they shot him when they shot him. He was completely unarmed. Now, here's the problem I have with that. The Proud Boys or whoever they're talking about that had guns in D.C. or wherever, they wasn't stopping cops from arresting citizens. They wasn't doing that. You understand? Then you go into a hotbed with a firearm and 2 magazines. And again, I'm going to wait till all the details come out because I'm hearing stuff about his gun mistakenly going off, or the officer that grabbed his gun when he walked away, the actual person who shot him, didn't see his colleague walk away with the gun. So there's a lot of things that have to be looked at. There's a lot of things that have to be looked at. Here it says, Greene urged people from both sides of the political spectrum to take off their political blinders, and appear to ask her supporters to question the events. Both sides. On one side, you have people going about their day, and then the federal troops descend on the community. It's reasonable to expect any community to stand by mutely as people. I think so. He meant to say not mutely. As people are being attacked by these government troops. It's bad guys on both sides. But if you're stupid enough to get caught up in the foolishness, then, you deserve what you get. Most people in this country are brainwashed. They believe in politics. Look at all the corruption coming out, and it's been happening for years. People believe in the government. They have I agree with what she's saying in part of that last passage. Take off the damn blinders. Take off the blinders. Because civil war is coming, whether you want to believe it or not. Civil war is coming. Now, here's what I want to get to in terms of revolution. I'm not going to be long. I got to go back to work. So this is in the 60s when you had black men who armed themselves as the original Black Panther Party. But at the same time, they didn't stormtroop people being arrested. Well, at least not initially. But this is a completely different animal that we're talking about. But let's just watch a little bit of this and get some understanding, because you have the new Black Panther Party, which I believe is a joke. They have emerged again. So does the law really work? Is it beneficial to all people, especially black people? Or does this man move the goalposts when he sees his freedom, his pockets could be emptied, his homes could be burned, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth can land in his lap? Does this man move the goalposts, or has moved the goalposts historically? You saw that article where how they called Nelson Mandela a terrorist. So if this man can move the goalposts, lock arms with Israel, and bomb the hell out of Iran, oppress the people in Palestine, and call them terrorists, and call them unruly, how do we know that what we are experiencing and seeing today is on the up and up? They're going after these Somalis who are goddamn thieves, which we know. But how do we know they haven't been stealing 10 times more? How do we know that the riots that we're seeing today are not a means to hide the corruption? How do we know this? How do we know that Jeffrey Epstein wasn't really killed? I believe he was killed. But they say he wasn't killed. How do we know this? They're saying that he hung himself. But what if he was really killed because he was too big to let live? He knew too many names of politicians, of movie directors, people in the courts, people in the Senate, people who run the military. How do we know he didn't have to be removed because he would have spoke and sung like a canary? How do we know this? Huh? Is this just by chance? I don't think this is by chance. I don't think this is by chance at all. Remember the MOVE organization? They were somewhat militant. Dropped a bomb on the home of the MOVE organization in Philadelphia. How do we know these things are not being done? Because this man fears what he has been doing for centuries might come back on his own head. Meanwhile, you're marching and singing and swinging and burning and looting and acting like a damn fool with the same enemy who doesn't love you. Who doesn't love you. How do you know you're not being played in that situation? The Oakland Police Department did not serve black people. I want to show you something that I found. I saw this like more than 20 years ago on SWAT. You familiar with the SWAT, right? I didn't know this 20 years ago. Check this out. It says Los Angeles Police Department, LAPD, developed the first SWAT, Special Weapons and Tactics. It says team in the late 60s. So you're familiar with SWAT. It says directly influenced by the need to manage urban unrest. See that? Directly influenced by the need to manage urban unrest, specifically following the 1965 Watts riots. Following the 1965 Watts riots, so this special tactical unit of white men at the time was specifically designed and created to manage who? Black people after the Watts riots in California. You're watching a video about the Black Panther Party created in California roughly around this time, maybe 5 years later. I'm not sure. But here it says directly influenced by the need to manage urban unrest, specifically following the 1965 Watts riots led by Inspector Daryl Gates. These units were designed to handle high-risk, violent confrontations. With who? With who? Black people. Or the concept emerged after the 1965 Watts riots, which revealed that traditional police tactics were inadequate for managing extreme urban violence. The LAPD leadership created a special unit to manage riots, sniper fire, and barricade suspects with an initial focus on countering urban insurgencies. Isn't that something? Isn't that something? So you have the Black Panther Party on the rise again, which has been infiltrated, by the way. You have Marjorie Taylor Greene saying that riots are going to come out of nowhere. Civil war is coming. This is what she's saying, especially after this white man was killed the other day. But she says it's being incited. I believe it's all manufactured and entwined with frustration, the lack of food, and nothing happening for people in their personal lives as far as a good life in a country that claims it provides a good life. That's what I see. Let's go to the old Black Panther Party real quick. Let's go right there. (1966). Look how strong we are. There. Men look like real men. Sisters look like real sisters. Look at the difference of how we look there. Look at them. Look at them. Look at the difference compared to how we look today. Look at us today. Look at us today. Look at this. So soft and weak and overly emotional. Look at us today. We are an absolute joke today, man. We'll kill each other and fight each other and destroy each other, but look at us today, man, compared to that. Just sad, man. Just sad. It's terrorists. We just read that Nelson Mandela was recognized as what? A terrorist. Look at the liberals. Even in the 60s, the liberals were in the street against the Vietnam War. Didn't give a damn about no damn black people, man. Not a damn thing. Look at them. Look. Black people had their own crisis. See that? So back then, it looked like you had leaders. Martin Luther King, which I didn't agree, in regards of all his ideologies, and Malcolm X. I'm more of a Malcolm X dude. But here's the thing, or the question: who are your leaders today? Who are your leaders today? Name me 3 good, strong leaders among the black community. Name me 3. Tell me, who are your leaders today? Your leaders are either telling you to vote. Your leaders are either telling you to be a part of the system, the same system that's corrupt and evil and murderous. They're telling you to be a part of the same system that's killing you and your children. Who are your leaders? You don't have Malcolm X or Martin Luther King if you're on that side. You don't have anything like that, or a Black Panther Party, because the Black Panther Party today is a joke. And you can't trust them, brothers. The majority of these groups, including mine, have been infiltrated by the government, have plants and spies and agents in those groups if they are a threat. So what do you have today? What do you have to fall back on? I ask a profound question. Where's our spirituality at? What good is it to be a Black Panther or revolutionary if you don't have spirituality? I believe there is a God. There is a God. But here's the thing. Where is your power today? Or who is the true and living God? That's the question. Back to Psalms 96, the 3rd verse. It says, declare his glory among the heathen, meaning the non-black man, the non-Hispanic or native. His wonders among all people, what the Most High has done on this earth and will do in the future on this earth for all to be a witness of God's power. For the Lord is great. For the Lord is great and greatly to be praised. He is to be feared above all gods. See? All nationalities have some form of a spirituality or some form of a God, but is it the true and living God? And is it really spirituality in the positive sense? 5th verse says, for all the gods of the nations, see? So the Chinese, Japanese, Arabs, white man, they all are a nation. Together they are nations, plural. But the true and living God, my God, says, for all the gods of the nations are idols, but the Lord Yahweh made the heavens. But the Lord Yahweh, the true and living God, made the heavens and the earth and everything on it. And like I mentioned yesterday, he controls how people think and function on it. And like I claimed so many times, that the Bible is the only book that you can equate or relate to what we are experiencing on this earth. So no Black Panther Party or politics is going to save you. Even the white woman, Marjorie Taylor Greene, said that take off the political blinders. People have to train their minds to think for themselves. And I'm going to shock you. You might have to step away from a few friends and family members and people you serve God with to see the full picture. You may have to do that. War is coming. There's no doubt about it that war is coming. There's no doubt about it. And you can't keep walking as though this is going to continue forever. It says intelligence experts warn white supremacist groups expanding present in Utah. This is in 2025. I remember. Let's see what it is. Even they are infiltrated. The Black Panther Party was infiltrated. The Nation of Islam, they were infiltrated. And you better believe you have spies and agents in whatever group you're in, depending on the power of that group. But even the white groups are infiltrated because there's one group or one main people who really run this show, who tell all the presidents what to do. You got to wake up. Sounds familiar. Everybody's mobilizing, man. Everybody's mobilizing and doing their thing because people are tired. And like the scripture says, everybody's going to go to their own people. And when the country falls and crashes, it's going to be mayhem. But groups like those groups, they're going to turn things around like we've never seen before. You think these cornballs out here on the streets now with purple hair and cartoon characters on the front lines, you know, they put on these cartoon character costumes and they jumping and acting silly and overly emotional. These dudes are disciplined and they mean business. But it's of the Lord who's running the show. It's of the Lord. The Lord says this in Isaiah 13:14. It says, and it shall be as the chase roe. See that? Let me make it bigger so you can see. 14 verse again. It says, and it shall be as the chase roe, and as a sheep that no man taketh up. That's going to be the wicked. Nobody's going to want to be associated with the wicked. Esau, the European man in his power. He's going to lose his power. No one is going to want to be associated with him. They shall every man turn to his own people. This is the part I wanted. Every man shall turn to his own people. The Chinese are going to want to be with the Chinese, even though they're heavily among themselves. The Japanese, they're going to want to be among the Japanese when all hell breaks loose, even though they're mainly turn or associate today, 2026, with their own people, Chinese and Japanese. The Arab man, whether he's in Iran or Iraq, they're going to want to be with their own, even though, for the most part, that's what they're doing. And even white people, they're going to want to turn to their own only. And you're seeing that now with these hate groups or these militias. Even though you got a lot of white people who are married to black people and who mingle with different nationalities, that's what a lot of these groups are against. And they're educating their people to be among their own people and that this country is going to fall and that it's corrupt. And in certain cases, they're right. They see that the country is falling apart. And it says, and flee everyone into his own land. See that? So at some point, people are not going to want to be a part of the nonsense. They're not going to want to be a part of feelings and emotions. They're not going to want to be a part of that. The only ones who are not mobbing up the right way are black people. But thank God there's prophecy, because the Most High is going to have it that you are going to join with each other in the spirit of the Most High. Not in this emotional lollipop land mindset. You're going to mob up or come together, rather, I'm going to use a better word, come together with your own people. We read this 2 weeks ago. 2 Ezra 15, verse 16. It says, for there shall be sedition among men. We know what sedition is, when you go against or you rebel against the government. We sing that now. Invading one another. They should not regard their king nor their princes. So there's going to be a fall away from leadership. In the course of their actions shall stand in their power. So whatever they want to do is going to be active and forward, and it's going to come to pass because the Most High is going to let it happen. 17th verse, a man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able to. For because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. I don't know what's up with the phone. It says, 19th verse, a man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods, meaning take what they have, because of a lack of bread and for great tribulation. See that? Great tribulation. See, this is what's coming. This is what's coming. And your best bet is to follow the word of the Most High. That's your best bet. Hey, Shalom, Allah could come. But that's all I got for you right now. I got to go back to the plantation, but just keep those things in mind. Keep that in mind because, this is getting really, really serious. And the Most High, he's letting it go down the way it's going down. These groups are not disappearing. These groups are here to stay because they see what's happening in this country. They see where the country is going, man. They're not stupid. They see where the country is going. And the ones who don't see it is you so-called Negroes. This Black Panther Party is a joke, and it's been infiltrated. And I saw a couple of reports where the leadership is just running game on you to out you in front of the enemy. So they're going right back and talking to the CIA and the government and the powers that be. This man is the devil. He wants a one-world order where he's in control, no religions, no Bibles, no Qurans, no gods, just Satan, and to do away with the Constitution. And him as a devil, he's doing a great job of being the devil. A great job. So fool yourselves if you want, but this is going nowhere. That's all I got for you to the next time. You brothers and sisters, you be safe out there watching news. I hear another storm is coming this weekend. We'll just wait and see. But you brothers and sisters, you stay solid, you stay straight, and you beware of the devil because he's out there and he's hungry. I'm out. Shalom.
Reach into my pocket. Read to him the 29th scroll, 6th verse.
Beware the beast man, for he is the devil's pawn. Alone among God's primates, he kills for sport, or lust, or greed. Yea, he will murder his brother to possess his brother's land. Let him not breed in great numbers, for he will make a desert of his home and yours. Shun him. Drive him back into his jungle lair, for he is the harbinger of death.
I found nothing in the cave to alter that conception of man.